The new summer is finally upon us, and it is time to go racing for the American short trackers Voltson Super Trucks for the fourth season of competition. We're back at the Michigan International Speedway this week for another running of the SAR Nebraska 100, but there will be a new twist added to the already challenging race this year with a record 43 trucks that have showed up to the Speedway. That shatters the old record for the most trucks that have showed up to a single race in this series. We're going to have to resort to running a pair of heat races to narrow the field down to 40, which, by the way, is the maximum number of trucks that are permitted to start any race in this series. Taking the pole position is hometown hero Ron Anderson in the 333, showing up for just this race and Berlin. Archer Helms, making his first start in MIS, qualifies on the outside of the front row. And also locked into the race is your third place qualifier, Mary Brousseau. A new rule this year states that the top 3 drivers in qualifying will be locked into the race and exempt from the heats. And without further ado, let us take you straight to the action. Rachel Kowalczyk and Amberly Weiss will lead to the start of heat number 1. Kowalczyk, been running a partial schedule in this series for the past few seasons, has had a lot of very solid results, but hasn't really contended for any wins. Looking to change that here at MIS this weekend, she gets a fantastic jump over Weiss on the start as the 75 quickly falls back. And moving into second and third right behind Kowalczyk are the 89 of Bailey Bliss and the 95 of Juan Cortez, a new number for Cortez's truck this year. And we got 4 wide at the back on lap number 1. Brianna Prinzhorn smacks the outside wall off in turn 2. Danella Jacobson, Ronald Way, and Brian Kelly also in this battle. So that didn't take long for the field to pack up like we normally see in the main race. That damage is going to knock Prinzhorn off the pace a little bit, as she currently battles with Nick Moss for the second to last position. Back at the front of the field, we have a swarm of drivers coming after Rachel Kowalczyk for the lead. Camden Rhodes getting a push from Jenny Jackson on the inside, and Juan Cortez with help from Bailey Bliss on the high line, trying to make it 3 wide into turn 1, but it's not going to work out for Rhodes. It looks like he had to check up the throttle just a little bit, and there goes Bliss and Cortez on the outside. Both drivers having a very good run in this heat so far, especially Bliss considering that she has never started a race in this series before. EF5 Motorsports, the distant Oklahoma-based operation, has showed up for this race with 3 trucks, and all 3 of them have shown a lot of speed all weekend. Bliss now closing in on the 402 of Kowalczyk, trying to take the top spot for herself. Here she comes to the inside down the front straightaway, and she's got help from behind. Juan Cortez and Zach Churchill have teamed up to freight train the 402. The 89 almost clears Kowalczyk, but it's not quite going to work. The 402 puts the hammer down and takes the lead right back on the outside of the corner. Some excellent defensive driving from Kowalczyk to hold on to the top spot. And mind you, this is only the heat race. These drivers are competing only for a better starting position in the feature, but they are giving it their all. John Bennett has worked his way into the 3rd position, your defending winner of the SAR Nebraska 100, making his 2nd visit to the Speedway here this weekend. He didn't qualify as well as we perhaps were expecting of him, but as I just mentioned, he has worked his way up to the front, trying to get around Bailey Bliss for the 2nd spot and chase down Kowalczyk for the lead. We've only got 3 laps to go at this point, and Bennett isn't quite going to clear the 89 through turn 2. He had her cleared for a moment, but Bliss coming back and oh, she's off the course and headed for the inside wall down the backstretch. Bliss just got turned by the 95 of Juan Cortez, it seems. Let's take a look at exactly what happened. Cortez hooks her off turn 2 and turns her hard into the inside wall down the back straightaway. That was a heavy impact into the inside safer barrier for Bailey Bliss, and at a nasty angle no less. That was a frightening crash for the 89. And further up the track, Juan Cortez is going to come flying back up onto turn 3 and nearly wipes out Camden Rhodes. The 62 goes up the track and into the wall, but somehow they both managed to save it. That was an incredibly reckless display of driving from the 95. Let's go on board the 62 and see what he saw. There's Cortez and Bliss going off to the inside, and Cortez keeps the truck under control, but keeps it in the gas and comes screaming back up onto the banking. Again, both of them are very lucky that they did not lose control and crash, although Rhodes is going to lose many positions as a result. And this is going to cause the race to end under caution with so few laps remaining. Rachel Kowalczyk is going to take the victory with John Bennett in 2nd, and after the 95 and the 89 crashed out of her way, Jenny Jackson finds herself in 3rd. Zach Churchill is 4th with Tiffany Rogers, the rookie, in 5th. Jeffrey Jackson 6th. Amberly Weiss fell back to 7th. Brian Kelly 8th. Amy Robinson, his teammate making her first start in MIS, is in 9th. And Alex Raston, the highest finishing Midwest Motors truck in this race, in 10th. Kevin Irvine, another rookie, is in 11th with Samantha Spires in 12th, and her first visit to the Speedway. Then there's Camden Rhodes, who fell back to 13th. Ronald Way, Danila Jacobson, and Juan Cortez finishes in 16th. That is inside the transfer zone, but the officials have decided to not allow the 95 car to start the feature after that reckless display of driving on lap number 8, and that's going to bump Nick Moss into the race, who would have failed to qualify otherwise. Ben Maddox 17th, Brianna Prinzhorn 18th, and of course Bailey Bliss not able to finish the race and will not start the main event tomorrow. That's a huge disappointment for EF5 Motorsports. However, our primary concern is with Bliss herself. We do hope that she's okay after that frightening crash on the backstretch. Now moving on to the second heat race of the day, where Bliss's EF5 teammate Grant Edwards, also making his first start in the series, or trying to do so by qualifying through this heat, will start from the first position. Fellow rookie Scott Madigan is on his outside, but here comes Legend Hart with a run for the lead into turn 1 right off the bat. The 77 car for Legendary Motorsports, that team entering its second season this year, did not have a whole lot of good runs last year, but Hart trying to change that for 2017. However, he's going to get passed up by the 82 truck of Daryl Quick, the 3-time defending series champion and the 2014 winner of this very race, who wastes no time going after the lead on Grant Edwards. You may notice the 82 truck looks significantly different than in years past, a new paint scheme, and also a switch from SAR to Lycoya. Despite these changes, Quick appears as fast as ever, although Edwards is going to hold him off and retain the lead for the time being. And the battle is on for third behind them, as Adam Ramirez comes to the inside of Carl Gargalock and Legend Hart. They're running 3 wide for second, and Hart trying to hang onto the car in the middle. That looks like a very free race car for the Zero. Ramirez driving the 98 this year. The Jinx Racing development team has expanded to 2 trucks with Natasha Rodriguez taking over the 86, but Ramirez is going to get swallowed up by the pack as Hart goes on by. And we've got more 4 wide in this heat, and this time it's Jason Miller who's going to bounce off the outside wall. Luckily for him, he keeps it off the 32 of Gordon Davis, and you see Chase Eberhard on the inside, taking to the apron, trying not to run into the 95 of Alex DeFranco, or the 94, excuse me. Eberhard now getting back up onto the track. He qualified second for this race last year, but hasn't appeared nearly as fast. And whoa, Danny Vigo runs into the back of him in turn number 1. Eberhard, entering that corner from an unconventional line, slowed way up, trying not to crash, and Vigo ran right into the back of him. That's rather impressive that he didn't lose control of that 80 car. Vigo no longer driving for Oh, we got a crash down the backstretch right in front of them, and Larry Kowalczyk wipes out the 80. Danny Vigo had nowhere to go as Larry Kowalczyk turned down right into his path, and he took Chase Eberhard out with him. There's Nancy Keith with a lot of damage to her own truck. What on earth happened down the track? Carl Gargalock hits the outside wall off of turn 2 and comes down into Gordon Davis, and they're not able to save it this time. Keith smashes into the 32 and inflicts a lot of damage upon both of their trucks. They're definitely not going to continue after that one. And Larry Kowalczyk almost made it by, but got turned into the outside, bounced off, and came down right into the 91 of the 80, taking them completely by surprise. And that is going to inflict a lot of damage upon the 80 truck of Danny Vigo, who was struggling to keep himself inside the transfer zone with his family-owned team. I was just about to say that he's no longer driving for Operation JM, and the race is going to restart with just 2 more laps to go. Grant Edwards leads the field back to the green, but here comes Daryl Quick, making a run for the lead before they even get to turn 1. That was a very good restart from the 82, and through turns 1 and 2, Quick is going to take over the lead of the race. That's the first lead change that we've seen in either heat so far today, but Legend Hart looks like he might be about to make the second, with a huge run through turns 3 and 4 on the inside, and a lot of help from Adam Ramirez in the 98. Hart's going to get by Edwards and Quick in one maneuver. He leads at the white flag, but Ramirez now going for the lead himself, making it 3 wide into turn 1 for the lead on the final lap. He's got a push from Wilson Timothy, with Edwards still right behind the 77, and Edwards looking inside. He's making it 4 wide for the lead on the final lap, and Quick hits the wall off at turn number 2. Everybody keeps it under control, but Hart made it out of there cleanly, and he's going to pull ahead of all the drivers he was just battling with into turn 3. but Edwards with a big charge on the inside is going to take the lead back. Edwards was stuck behind a 3-wide battle into turn 1, but he forced his way into the middle, made it 4 wide, and it's going to pay off with a victory in heat number 2 at MIS, as Edwards takes back the win that it looked like he was just about to lose when Quick got by him on the restart. And would you believe that that was only a heat race? Let's hope that that's a sign of things to come for the feature. Legend Hart manages to bring it home in second place with Scott Madigan in third. Michael McKinley worked all the way up to fourth during the final restart, with Wilson Timothy in fifth. Daryl Quick fell back to sixth. Then it's Adam Ramirez in seventh. Honoko Kurosawa, the other EF5 truck, in eighth. Kathy Gargalak and Natasha Rodriguez rounds out the top 10. Then it's Alex DeFranco, Kevin Thompson, Chase Everhart, John White, Jason Miller, Carl Gargalak, Larry Kowalczyk, and the final 3 trucks were not able to make it to the finish, although Nancy Keith still places within the transfer zone, so her crew will soon get to work on repairing the 18 for tomorrow's feature. Danny Vigo, however, is going to go home early with a DNQ and a destroyed truck on top of that disappointment. That's a huge shame for the entire Vigo racing team, which is new to the series this season, and Gordon Davis, despite finishing in 20th, will also be racing tomorrow in the feature, because he was the fastest time trial qualifier who failed to transfer by finishing position. That award was actually supposed to go to Bailey Bliss. However, Bliss has not been medically cleared to start the race tomorrow, and her spot will therefore go to the 32 team. Once more, we do wish Bliss the best, and we wish safety upon all the 40 drivers who will be starting the race tomorrow. Hopefully it will be a safe and entertaining event, as we have seen in the past 3 years. And as always, you will be able to catch the highlight coverage of tomorrow's feature race, the 4th running of the SAR Nebraska 100, right here on Enrichment TV 2.